Okay, kids, it's time for another episode of the Fueled by Weird podcast, the only podcast where dino nuggets are an acceptable form of currency. I'm Chris Daly, and today I'd like to welcome Mr. Shaun Sunday to the show. Shaun, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, good morning. Gosh, so much is going on at the moment. Hey, it's a crazy time of year for most of us, but it is a beautiful, sunny, and 9-degree day here in Australia. So,
Nine
in the
degrees.
part of
Holy
Australia
shit.
that I'm in,
Yeah.
so
Well,
that's not usual for this time of year in most of Australia, but we live in kind of a mountainy and sort of a dip at the same time area in
yeah.
Victoria, which is right down south. You go to certain beaches in Melbourne and you can see the lights, and there's
Oh,
penguins
wow.
and shit because
That's cool.
it's not that far away. So it's much cooler down here than where we used to live, which is like 30 something degrees right now.
Oh, wow. I think that's about what we are right now. Let me see. Oh, it's like 29 degrees where I am now. But unlike you, where it's middle of the day, it's almost dinner time here. So
Yeah,
because yeah, I think I said you were a day and a half ahead, but I think you're only like
yeah,
half a day, maybe
yep,
almost a full
yeah,
day ahead. But
yeah. It's 77 of your degrees up
of
where we
my
used to live
degrees.
right now.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a nice day. 77
Yeah,
is
and
a nice day.
that's for 10 a.m. though.
Oof,
It's only
yikes,
going to get hotter.
that's rough. But I'm
Yeah.
okay with that because I live in a place where it snows during the winter time and I hate snow. And so I live in the worst place for that.
Yep.
Luckily we don't have any snow yet. Fingers crossed. Um, but I think we're supposed to get snow here in the next couple days. So far we've had zero
I
snow.
am still yet to experience snow happening to me.
Yeah.
I've I've been to the ski resort when I was little on a school trip,
Yeah.
but most of Australia doesn't get snow
Yeah, I don't
except for
hate that.
really mountainy areas in the south. So the year before we moved to this city, it
Yeah.
snowed,
Oh wow.
and then it hasn't snowed since.
Oh my God. That's
Oh,
crazy.
actually, no, I lie. It snowed out at the castle 15 minutes out of town,
Oh
but
wow.
we didn't find out until after it had already happened.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think Australia would be a cool place to go, except for I heard about the giant spiders, and that I couldn't handle that, man.
Look, honestly, stay in the south and you won't have to deal with them as much because
Really?
they don't get as big because it's not as hot.
Okay, that's good to
They
know.
they some of the big ones are still here, but they mostly stick to outside rather than in people's houses.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine seeing one of those inside my house. I would probably just burn my house down.
Yeah. No, no, I remember living in Queensland where it gets hot and
Yeah.
we get the big ones up there.
Inside your house?
Yeah.
Ugh, yikes, dude.
Those
That's
ones are mostly harmless though. The big ones inside the house, they're freaky, but they're mostly harmless.
that's terrifying, man. I have a big fear of spiders, so I don't know
Yeah,
if I'd
I'm
be able
not a
to
fan of
handle it.
trying to catch them and put them outside. I'll tell you that much.
Jesus Christ, I couldn't even imagine.
Those ones have what we describe as a gallop,
Oh, yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. All right, well, we're just gonna leave it at that.
but
Um,
contrary to popular belief, most things in Australia won't kill you. There's a lot of things that can, but can and will are very different things.
that's true. That's true. Well, I do know that just before we went on, my daughter and I were talking about our favorite export from Australia, which is Rhea Ripley. We were just talking about her because
Yep.
she did a gear inspired by Art the Clown for the pay-per-view this last weekend.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
So dope. So dope. And I just found the video where the guy who made her gear did like a time lapse video of him making her gear. It was super cool. It was very,
Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that there's more Aussies in WWE these days.
All over the place, man. Her husband is I'm a big fan of him too, but he's been out with a ankle injury for quite a while.
Mm.
I saw when he originally did it, he kind of jumped down and his ankle bent. Luckily,
Oh,
he didn't break it,
yeah.
but it looked like he broke it, but he ripped a bunch of he's had like surgery on it twice because it's just not healing properly. It was brutal, dude. I'll have to see if I can find the video and send it to you, but it
Yeah, I
was
can.
brutal.
It sounds rough.
Yeah. Are you into pro wrestling at all?
I used to be when I was a kid,
Yeah.
and then I didn't have access to pay-per-view anymore when I moved out of
Hmm.
home for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
So I just kind of fell off, but like I still appreciate seeing it around.
Yeah.
Uh, Cena was I liked Cena,
Yeah.
but my favorite was always Mysterio.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, Cena wrestles his final match next weekend.
Yes.
It's gonna be pretty crazy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was just here for this big show in Perth too.
Yeah, the Crown Jewel, I think.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, yeah. That was a good show. That was a
Yeah,
very
I
good
heard it was
show.
good. It was
Yeah.
it was funny to wake up in the morning and like it's a bit rough for the poor singer, but it was funny to wake up in the morning and see all the videos of everyone booing the heck out of the national anthem.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would do that.
I feel for the poor singer, but it's
Oh,
like
absolutely.
you're here. You should probably play the national anthem of the country you're in.
Yep, makes zero sense.
Because I think like Japanese wrestling, like they do that kind of thing, and
Yeah,
but it is what it is. But it was certainly a choice, and it was entertaining to wake up to that. But I did feel bad for the poor singer.
yeah. No, it definitely was a choice. We'll just say it was a choice. All right, my friend. So I usually like to start these things off with an icebreaker question.
All right, hit me.
Today's icebreaker question is Christmas, we're on the Christmas creep. Christmas is coming before we know it. When it's this time of year, what is your favorite holiday song to listen to? Like, what's the song that you look forward to every year that kind of gets you in the Christmas spirit?
Let me just look up the guest's name again because I can't
Okay.
remember off the top of my head.
Hmm.
But I know exactly, as soon as you heard, I know exactly what song it was because we were just listening to it while we were putting up the Christmas tree the other day.
Nice.
Um,
I still need to do that. I'm been a big slacker. My wife's super
um,
big into Halloween, so she hasn't really wanted to let go of her Halloween decorations just yet, and
well,
I'm
see,
fine
we've
with
still
it.
got some up
Yeah.
while we're decorating for Christmas. Yeah. Yeah, we've kind of
That's awesome.
combined the two a little bit. We found some random Halloween tinsel for last Halloween,
Yeah.
so that's still up, and we've still got our skeleton up, but we've put a Christmas hat on him.
I've been trying to tell her to do that. Like, if you don't want to put it away, don't. Just leave it out. I don't care. I really don't. If it
Yeah,
makes you
we
happy,
even
leave it
we even
out.
got our in-laws, my in-laws to do it. They bought a skeleton because they really loved having our skeleton around the house after we
That's
moved.
awesome.
And
That's
then so
cool.
when we got him back, they bought their own self one. And up until Christmas Day, they put it in my father-in-law's Santa suit and just have it sitting around the house.
That's awesome.
But the song is "What Do the Lonely Do at Christmas" featuring "Get Tough" by Cartoon Network.
Nice. That's definitely a new one for me. I've not heard of that
It
before.
it is an absolutely rad cover of that song, and it's off the album A Very Cartoon Christmas.
Nice. I'll have to check that one out because I'm super into not the typical Christmas songs just because
Yeah,
it's more fun that way.
yeah. We've got a good mix, Like my partner grew up with Boney M being played around the house because of their mom and everything. So we've got some of that, and we've got some of the old Nat King Cole and Gene
Yeah.
Kelly and all that, Sinatra and that, because that's what I
Yeah.
grew up with.
Yeah.
But then we've got a bunch of ska and pop punk covers of Christmas songs
That's awesome.
mixed in.
Very cool. Very, very cool. I think for me, not I think, I'm pretty confident in my answer, and it's not an answer everyone has heard before, but it's one that it's kind of a weird one. My favorite is Dominic the Donkey by Lou Monte.
You know what? That
It's
sounds vaguely familiar.
it's an absolutely ridiculous song, but it's a lot of fun. Um, it's just one of my favorite Christmas songs ever since I heard it the first time. But yeah, it's like it's an Italian Christmas donkey, I think is what they say in the song. Obviously, I
Yeah.
haven't heard it yet this year, but uh, but yeah, there's a lot of donkey noises in it, and it's pretty basic. There's not really a lot of words to sing along with it, but there's a lot of la 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 in there. But it's a dumb fun
Yeah.
song, and I really like it a lot. So
I've just looked it up so I can have a listen to it when we're done.
yeah, awesome. You have to let me know what you think. It's a ridiculous song, but it's a lot of fun. All right, man. So, we've been talking a little bit about Christmas already. What's your favorite holiday tradition that, you do as a family or you do as yourself this time of
Ah,
year?
that's a really good question. Since my partner and I moved away from the family, we moved 3 states away in
Oh, wow.
2023
Yeah.
from Brisbane, Queensland to Ballarat, Victoria, which is an hour and a half out of Melbourne.
Okay.
For work reasons, rent affordability reasons. It was
Yeah,
getting way
yeah.
too expensive in Brisbane.
Sure.
And weather reasons. The heat was just getting real bad for us. We're both neurodivergent, and the constant 30 plus degree heat 2/3 to 3/4 of the year in Brisbane,
Yeah.
plus humidity was getting real bad for our brains.
Sure.
So
I
we
get
moved
that.
somewhere colder. We moved somewhere
Yeah.
where winter is
Nice.
1 to 10 degrees at any given point. And our first Christmas here, it was 9 degrees at night
Oh, wow.
while we were out looking at the lights. So we were wearing scarves, beanies, and jackets for the first time in our entire lives in Australia for Christmas.
That's awesome.
So we have been adjusting to the fact that we can do cold weather things for Christmas here.
So it's like a
So
new tradition then, kind
yeah,
of.
yeah.
That's
So
cool.
instead of being in, tiny little singlets and shorts and sweating our guts out all day at Christmas Day,
That'd
we can actually, we're hoping this year to pick up Christmas sweaters for the first time
be cool.
in our entire lives. We've been looking at a few that we wanted, but they weren't going to arrive in time. But down here, in Victoria, Kmart, Target, Big W, all these sort of chain stores actually stock Christmas sweaters because
Nice.
it's finally cold enough to wear them.
Yeah.
Whereas you would end up in hospital if you wore them in Brisbane.
Oh, sure. Are you guys
Um,
going for like traditional Christmas sweaters? You going for like the ugly Christmas sweater? What are you thinking?
we're gonna grab whatever we can afford this year,
Okay,
but for
fair enough.
next year, we've been looking at some fun ones that we'll order earlier in the year so that they're actually here in time.
Nice.
Some nerdy ones, some silly ones, whatever catches our
Nice.
attention.
That's cool.
So that'll be a nice thing going forward to do to be able to wear a Christmas sweater for the first time.
Nice.
But like since we moved here last Christmas, we went back up to visit the family. So our
Mhm.
second Christmas wasn't here. This year, we've decorated the house and we've got 4 trees.
Oh, nice. That's
So
cool.
we've gone because we couldn't decide which trees we
Yeah,
like. So we've just
I
put
get
up
it.
multiple. We've got this like black twiggy thing from Halloween that's now decorated for Christmas.
Yeah,
A little multicolored thing that we bought years ago because it was all we could afford. So it was our first tree that we bought ourselves.
yeah.
A white one that my mother-in-law bought us for our second to last year in Brisbane. So, that one has sentimental value. And then we bought ourselves one that was going to be for last Christmas, but then we went to see the family. So it's a big 7 footer with the frost all over it and all that sort of thing.
That's
So
cool.
probably one of our favorite things is to just throw on the Christmas playlist that we've put together and decorate the trees together. Um, but the one that I look forward to most is actually Christmas Eve dinner.
Okay.
Yeah. We even got Robin's family to start adopting it the last couple of years before we moved away. But my family, we always did Christmas Eve dinner grow with friends and family instead of Christmas Day, so that we could,
Okay.
do all that cooking, have the big meal, have the friends, have the family.
Yeah,
And then on Christmas Day, everyone can just relax because we've
that's a
got
good idea.
leftovers out the wazoo.
That's cool. I
And
like that.
especially in Australian Christmas, it's too hot during the day to be cooking and all that sort of stuff on Christmas. So
Yeah,
we have cold leftovers. Ham sandwiches. The
yeah.
prawns are left over from the night before, and potato salad, all that sort of stuff. Nice cold things, and you can heat whatever you want up the next day, roast veggies and stuff. But yeah, we like to do a nice quiet Christmas meal together on Christmas Eve, and then just hang out for the day on Christmas
I
Day.
like that. That's cool. That's a really good
So
idea.
it's gonna be nice this year. It's just us and our best friend from Brisbane who moved down here shortly after us. So our first Christmas away from the family, we had him. He got here 2 weeks before Christmas. He got moved into his place like a week before Christmas. And so yeah, this will be our third Christmas together.
That's cool, man. I think that's really cool. Like when you finally kind of make your way, out of the nest, so to say, You kind of get off on your own because, for years, you've kind of just piggybacked off of, your parents and your other family's traditions. But when you get to actually finally break off and start your own traditions, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, it's nice because like, my wife and I have been together for a super long time. And for a long time, we used to, we'd kind of share traditions like with her pa parents and with my parents. But, it got to the point when we started having kids where it was just too much work to kind of drive little kids, to four different houses because both of our parents were
Yep.
divorced. And so we're like, you know what? We're done. You want to hang out? Come see us. And we're just going to start we were like, it's time to start our own traditions because, if people ask what our traditions are, we don't really have any. And so, we take a little bit of mine, we take a little bit of hers, we kind of just mishmash them and make our own. So it's really cool. So I'm really excited for you guys. You can finally kind of, put your own thing out there and it's really exciting.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be really nice. And then that was
Yeah.
it. Like their family came down to see us in October for early Halloween Christmas.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, we did still get to spend a Christmas like theirs together, and then
Yeah,
we are doing our own thing for real Christmas.
that's cool. Very cool. All right, man. So, when you're not, busy doing work or, other things, when you're just kind of enjoying your free time, what are some of your hobbies? Like, what are some of the things you like to do? What are I guess, in a sense, what are the things that fuel your weird?
Right here is one that I'm trying to get more time for is my
Yeah.
Gunpla. I love building and painting my Gundam models. I've
Yeah.
I've actually got one in its little tray sitting under my desk beside me because I've been trying to get time to tinker with it. But I love D&D. Like, yes, I do make things for D&D and sell them sometimes. So sometimes D&D is work, but
Yeah.
mostly D&D is for me. Like running D&D is just for me. So I love playing D&D and painting the minis, especially. Like you can see here, that is one of two shelves of all my unpainted minis that I
Oh
need
my
to paint.
God. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I got very lucky. One year I bought myself a D&D board game to celebrate a milestone as a creative, and then
Yeah.
the following birthday, the family bought me a D&D board game for that. And then when my brother-in-law was moving away, he gave me the two that he had in storage. So
Oh
suddenly I
man.
had like 200 minis to paint on top of the hundred and something minis that I already had been collecting and 3D printing for my
Yeah.
own D&D adventures. And then, I've got the Hero Quest minis there, and my one of my buddies printed me like 78 minis for my Curse of Strahd campaign.
Oh my
So
gosh.
suddenly my backlog became quite large.
Yeah.
And I don't get nearly as much time to paint as I would like,
Yeah.
but I love it when I get time to sit down and do it. So I've got a little painting station downstairs that I moved it down from here. Let me just move the camera a little and you'll see. This table here used to be my painting station,
Oh, nice.
but now it's got my printer and my silhouette cutter and all that sort of stuff because I just really needed more access to that while I'm working in the office. So I
Yeah.
had to move all the painting stuff downstairs except for the minis in storage. So I haven't had a chance to actually paint much in a while, but I've just been doing a bit of priming and repairing and stuff over this last couple of days. So I'm really excited to sit down and do some painting soon.
That's awesome, man. Um,
Those are probably my two biggest hobbies.
that's
Is
cool. Yeah, I know I'd
I
like
love
to
gardening.
gardening. That's cool.
Yeah.
I need to do more of that. I just hate being outside sometimes because in the summertime it gets very, very hot. Not nearly as hot as it gets down there, but there's some days it gets pretty unbearable. And where my house sits, it sits basically underneath the sun for three-fourths of the day. So it's
Yep.
really hard to go outside and do anything because you're literally directly underneath the sun, and
Yeah.
it feels offensive almost sometimes because
No, I totally get that. Like even a day like today where it's 9 degrees and c cold, but it's sunny out there,
yeah,
I would have to put so much sunscreen on to go outside
yeah.
and do the gardening. Because even on a cold day in Victoria, the sun is really brutal, apparently. We found this out the hard way when we first moved here. We didn't realize the UV rating here, I think we're closer to the hole. So the UV rating is higher. I can go outside on a 10-degree day for 10 minutes and come back sunburned if I don't put sunscreen on.
I have that problem too because under this hat is a bald head, and I thought, it's cold outside, but it's sunny. I don't have to worry about getting a sunburn on my head. That is incorrect. Incorrect.
Yep.
So
Yep.
almost anytime I leave the house, I make sure to have a hat on because it's brutal.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
It was startling to figure that out, like how bad it was down here, though. Like it was like a sort of overcast 14-degree day. I went down to the shops to pick up some groceries and come back, and I was red as a lobster when I got back. I was like, oh, okay, the sun bites down here. It
yeah,
doesn't burn. It doesn't like it's not hot, but it bites.
that's
And
brutal,
so,
man.
let alone the heat, like you were saying, like that being under that sun in the heat as well.
Yeah,
Nah, that's rough. So I totally
it's
get where you're coming from.
it's awful, man. And yeah, I'd really like to get into D&D a lot more than I do, but like around here, everybody wants to play and nobody wants to DM, and that's a big problem. Just I guess it's not really a problem. It's just hard to because when I was in high school, and around my buddies all the time, we'd play D&D, but then as we got older, as you get older, you kind of don't get to be in touch with your friends as much because you've
Yeah.
got grown up responsibilities, which kind of sucks, but it's just hard to find, people to hang out and do D&D with. And,
Yeah, 100%.
for Christmas, my wife got me from Stranger Things, there's like a brand new box that they came out with. It's Eddie's Campaign. Have you seen that?
Yep.
So
Yeah, I know the one.
I got that, but I'm like, this is really cool, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with this because no one ever wants to play D&D. So like I don't know what I'm gonna do
I
with
am
it.
the forever DM.
Yeah. That's I
Yeah,
and
I
see
was
everyone tells me like if you don't have a DM, you just need a DM. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I guess I could learn how to do it, but that's that it's just easier if someone already else can DM though.
yeah. Yep, no, because we none of us knew how to play. My partner, our friend Phil, who down here, that's my D&D party, is my partner and Phil.
Yeah.
So, when he moved down here, I was like, oh, we might get a chance to play more D&D again. Kind of, for a little while. And then we all got busy.
Yeah, being a
Um,
grown-up sucks, man.
yeah. But, you know, we've got what we need to play when we can play.
Yeah, that's
Um,
cool.
but yeah, I'm definitely in the forever DM, but I haven't played once this year, I don't think. Or no, I lie. I've run two one-shots for Robin's mum
Nice.
because I don't know if you watched Dimension 20,
A little
but
bit,
when
yeah.
Robin's mum came down to visit us last year, for a week, unfortunately, we didn't get to show her much of the city because we got a heat wave.
Yeah.
It was like 44 degrees outside most of the time that she was here. So
Yeah.
we stayed inside and hid in the dark. And we watched a lot of Dimension 20 together and we got her hooked on it. She's now
Nice.
watched almost all of it.
Oh
And one day
wow.
she's like, can we play? So I had to come up with some starter one shots for my 66-year-old mother-in-law to play her first D&D games. And she immediately went for a wild magic barbarian so that
That's
she could
cool.
cause as much chaos as possible. And then in her second session, she figured out that the chaos also affects her.
Yeah.
She didn't realize that until she got turned into a pot plant.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
so
it was
cool.
the look on her face when she got turned into the pot plant was very funny. She was so shocked. And then yeah, it was just chaos. So yeah, that I have played this year. I only got to play once last year, which was for work actually.
Oh
I
wow.
was running a live game of the adventure that I wrote to show off the maps and software of the company that I was working for at the time.
That's cool.
I used to work for Arkenforge, who make VTT map making software
Oh
for
yeah.
D&D.
Hmm?
So it's like it's their VTT features are for in-person play. So if
Yeah.
you've got like a TV table or a projector, you use it with that. And it's if you've got a infrared TV table, it can automatically do your fog of war and all that sort of stuff. So we were doing a live game at PAX Australia, to show off those animated maps and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. But then they let me use my adventure that I ran to also promote my work. So it was fun. It was definitely fun. I got to play with some of my favorite people. I still need to edit that and put it up on my YouTube. I've got it
That'd be cool.
recorded,
That'd be cool.
but I keep forgetting to edit that particular one.
That'd be cool.
It was really fun. But
That's
that was
cool.
pretty much the only session I got to run last year.
That's pretty exciting though.
Yeah, it was. It was fun. It was fun doing my first live game at a convention and having it be with a bunch of people that I've known in the industry for a long time and trust them to be just the right amount of Chaos Goblin for the show without throwing me off while I was nervous doing my first on stage show.
Yeah.
It was really good.
That's cool. And speaking of your Gundams, I mentioned this in our chat, but I've got a buddy, shout out to Justin, aka Stormland. He's a big Gundam fan too, and he actually writes death metal music inspired by Gundam.
Sick.
Yeah,
Yes, you
he's
did. I think you did rem mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a big Gundam fan, and because I actually, for a while, I did um, a podcast that was about anime. It was kind of like I called it Anime 1A, so it was kind of
Yep.
like My Hero Academia, because it
Oh,
was
yeah,
kind
yep.
of like classes in session. The idea behind it was I was a fairly new anime kid at the time, because for years I'm like no anime, blah blah blah. But then I finally am like, why am I saying this? This is dumb. Anime is awesome. So I started kind of slowly getting into anime. So every time I'd have a guest on, like, tell me how you got into anime, then you'll give me some recommendations on animes that you think I should watch and why you think I should watch it. And
Yep.
I was able to talk to him on there, and it was pretty cool. Um,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also got to talk to the guy who does the voice of a bunch of anime, and I can't all of a sudden think of his name, and it's gonna make me crazy. Um, Let me look it up really quick.
No, that's awesome. I actually only started watching Gundam during the pandemic, during
Yeah,
lockdowns. Always been interested. I'd always saw the figures and saw the designs of the robots, but I was like, this started in the 70s. I don't know
yeah,
where the fuck to start.
yeah. It's
And so
hard, man.
yeah, I got a friend to give me a rundown. And
Yeah,
so I started with the original series and I was like, shit, this holds up.
yeah,
Like it's not perfect. There's some 70s iffy stuff in there sometimes, but more, 90% of that show, the animation quality, the voice quality, the action, it holds up.
yeah,
And so I was immediately hooked. And so the next convention that I went to, I grabbed Barbatos up the back there. Didn't realize how detailed that one was, but I was like, this, I've just watched Iron-Blooded Orphans. This is awesome. I'm going to build this.
yeah.
And so that was my first experience with a Gundam, but I loved it immediately. So I was like, yeah, now I've got a backlog of those as well.
That's cool. Yeah, he kind of gave me a breakdown of where to go, and I still haven't got to it yet because my list of anime to watch is so big, but I'll get there eventually. But yeah, I think
Yep.
my big intro was My Hero Academia. That's been one of my favorite ones forever, and I'm still behind on that one too, but I love that one so much. The
Yep.
voice actor, by the way, was Rico Fajardo.
Oh,
Um,
yep.
he does the voice of Lemillion from My Hero. He does the voice of like so many other characters. For man, the list is ginormous. Dr. Stone, Zombieland Saga.
Yes, I've been watching Dr. Stone.
Yeah, he does one of the voice. He does Taiju Oki in Dr. Stone.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Yeah, he was a super nice
Yeah.
dude. So that was kind of a fun thing I did.
Yeah,
But
that's cool.
and also
Um,
kind of going back to when you talked about Kmart. That brings back memories because we don't have those in the States anymore. Those are all gone now.
yeah.
And
Yeah, yeah.
my dad, my whole entire life worked at Kmart, so I was like in and around Kmart like my entire life growing up, and now they're just gone. So it's super weird to not talk about it anymore, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, they're thriving here because they actually just merged with Target.
Really?
The company that owns Target and Kohl's and Bunnings also just acquired Kmart, so they've merged now. So you can
Interesting.
actually get a lot of the same stock between the two stores if you don't have one or the other
Interesting.
near you. But yeah, our Target is separate to American Target as well. Like we don't have food in our Target except for things like lollies and prepackaged sweets in the party section and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
We still have Target,
Um,
but we have Target and we have Super Target. So
yeah.
the Target I have is
Well,
just a regular one, and we used to have food, but now it has a Starbucks. Um,
yep.
so that's the only kind of food offering is from Starbucks, but there used to be all sorts of different food that you could get from there. But I know the super targets, those are gigantic targets and they have all sorts of stuff in them.
Yeah, some Targets in Australia have started getting a cafe inside too, actually, now that you mention it, but only recently. Like it's only, like you said, big one.
Yeah.
There was a big one rebuilt somewhere. I think it was in Brisbane, but like the next shopping center over from us in a different
Ah,
suburb. I think it was the
gotcha.
one there ended up with a big with a cafe in the middle. Um, but yeah, yeah, our Target is actually a different company to American Target too. So we've got like a bunch of different stuff.
Interesting.
I went to a Target in San Francisco. in 2014. And I
Yeah.
was like, this is not the same fucking thing. There's dudes walking their dogs around and there were groceries and stuff. I was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
that sounds like a super Target. I mean, our Target has some kind of grocery stuff too, but super Target's definitely where you want to go for that kind of level of groceries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, it was surprising. And then like yeah, the difference in coffee between America and here was interesting.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah, like I'd heard it was different,
Yeah.
but until we went to San Francisco, I didn't realize just how different. I still found a lot of places where I could get a solid latte and and whatever. But I did notice how common the drip coffee was. And
Mm.
here you don't get cheap, like free refill drip coffee in Australia. Where there's drip coffee here, it's like single origin, small batch, real fancy bean stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I used to be a barista.
Gotcha.
So one of the places I worked at like specialized. It had its normal coffee where they did special single origin brews as well as having their standard beans,
Yeah.
but they did do filter coffee, but we were constantly rebrewing it through the day because it would run out so fast. And it was like, yeah, we had three different roasts of special single origin imported beans and stuff like that. And we had a special procedure for how to get the best brew out of it when we did it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like there is filter coffee in Australia now. It's becoming more and more popular, but it's again still completely different to what an American will expect when they order a filter coffee in Australia.
Yeah.
It's still stronger for one. The way we brew it is still stronger than just throw a pot under a filter machine. And like a lot of places have got individual V60 drip filters. So you'll order your coffee and you'll get the V60 with the roast beans in it and a fresh pot of boiling water. So you can do it yourself at the table
Oh, wow.
as
That's
well.
cool.
That's not as common, but there are still a lot of cafes, especially in Melbourne. Australia's coffee culture is a whole thing. It's like world award winning
Yeah.
coffee, like for so many different reasons. It's really interesting to like I don't work in hospitality anymore, but I'm still very interested in coffee.
Sure.
Um, and it was really interesting when I first went to Melbourne in 2019, and then we moved to Victoria to really start to experience the difference. I've been Sydney, I've been in Canberra, I've been in Queensland, and experienced the coffee out there, which is all very good. It's hard to find a bad coffee in Australia because of the coffee culture that we've got.
Sure.
And like a lot of people make fun of Melbourne for being so hipstery, this, that, and the other. But Melbourne's rad. I love Melbourne actually. It's got a lot of arts and culture, but it's so hard to find bad coffee in Melbourne. Even the tiniest little hole in the wall thing that you walk into, you'll get a good coffee. They're just this level of training that people get is wild. It's really cool. But that the reason that is, it actually started in Melbourne and then moved outward to the other states more because of Melbourne's high level of Turkish, Greek, and Italian immigrants.
Mm.
Um, you know, going back to the fucking gold rush era, you know, we've had such a strong culture of those different communities bringing their own beans, growing their own beans, importing, roasting, doing their own cultural styles of brewing and all that sort of stuff. So there's just this really interesting and unique cultural history of coffee in Australia that I didn't know as much about until a few years ago. Like I knew there was that the immigrant culture was why Australian coffee was so good compared to other places.
Yeah.
But learning more and more about that in recent years, it's been really fascinating to know exactly how long that has been happening for.
Yeah.
Australia has had proper cafes since the 1800s, and it's really cool. Yeah, like that was such a wild experience to compare back in 2014, and then knowing so much more about it now, it's really interesting. But it is
That's
always entertaining to me when an American is posting on TikTok that they just bought their first Australian like cafe coffee,
yeah.
and they're just like, "This is rocket fuel."
I think it's because in America it's opposite because it's super easy to find awful coffee. Like it's
Mm,
so like I like how you said that, you could kind of go to a hole in the wall and still get decent coffee because here hole in the walls sometimes have the worst coffee or sometimes, the fanciest place will have the worst coffee. But so there's a lot of places that offer coffee everywhere. And I'm not a big coffee drinker myself. My wife and my older daughter, they drink all the coffee, but my wife has said, it's really hard to find good coffee in America sometimes
yeah.
just because,
Well,
it's so easy.
apparently, yeah. Sorry, you
No, no,
finish.
I was just gonna say it's so easy to find
Yeah.
crappy coffee.
I've heard that Australian style cafes are becoming more of a thing in the States.
Interesting.
So if you can find one of them near you, apparently there's a lot, like it's a lot of Australians moving to America and starting up their own coffee shops.
Yeah.
So yeah, you'll probably find a pretty solid coffee if you can find one of those. I just found out that yeah, apparently there's a lot of Australia style stuff popping up in the States now, Australian style sushi stores in New York and Australian
Interesting.
cafes and Australian gyms with just bronzed beach bod dudes from Bondi yelling at you in a spin class and stuff like that.
That's
Um,
funny.
so I didn't realize that like Australia was becoming as much of a brand over in the States as it is apparently. But
Yeah, I
there you
didn't
go.
either. Interesting.
But yeah, like it is crazy here. Like you go into a service station, a petrol station,
Yeah.
and if they've got a coffee machine, that coffee will be drinkable. Not in one of those ones where you push a button and the machine spits it out. If they have an
Yeah.
actual barista style coffee machine, I can guarantee you won't hate that coffee, even just at a random servo on the side of the road.
Hmm.
Because there's just training available here. There's so
Yeah.
much barista training. It's everywhere. You can throw a rock in any town and find a barista course to learn how to make good coffee and get a job in hospitality.
Awesome.
And we stopped in this tiny little. It's basically a village in the
Yeah.
mountains. There was this little rest stop near a service station, just this little cafe, pseudo art gallery thing in the middle of nowhere, and ordered, a dirty chai. And it was fucking amazing. And we were in country, central West Queensland, like rural Queensland.
Yeah.
And I would have expected it to be fine, you know, not bad, just fine, drinkable, tasty, good. But it was
Yeah.
really good and it was wild. And it just made me really start thinking about it and looking into this history of the coffee culture in Australia. And it's wild.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right, man. So, I want to kind of take a trip in the Wayback Machine, go all the way
All
back
right, let's do it.
to little tiny Shaun Sunday, and I want to know what was it that originally inspired you to become an artist in the first place?
That's a good question. And I'm not going to lie, it was X-Men and Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
I was I got my first comics from my sister when I was little, about 10 or 11 or so, and then Dragon Ball Z hit Cheese TV, and that was like our morning show,
Yeah.
and it was run just by a couple of random teenagers that got somehow got given a TV show. Um, and it ran for years, and they would get all the best anime that they could get, and all the American cartoons and stuff. So we had them a few years after you guys. So like, it was like the mid '90s, and I was watching Mask and
Oh, wow. Okay.
stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
that. The Your late '80s cartoons were our early '90s, mid '90s cartoons here,
Yeah.
because of syndication and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
So, Mask was on when I was 10, 11, 12. I was born in 87, so,
Oh, so you're just a
you know,
couple years younger than I am.
yeah. So, it was that early mid 90s we were watching, yeah, Mask, G.I. Joe, oh shit, Bots Master
Okay.
and stuff like that was
Yeah. Yeah.
on then for us. So it was a few years behind you guys, and that's when we got Dragon Ball Z was the 90s, not the 80s.
Mm.
Um, So, it's really funny. You can tell which like 90s kid memes were made by Australians versus Americans
Yeah.
by which cartoons they have on them.
It's true.
And I just started copying what I was seeing in the shows and like printing out photos of Goku and Vegeta, grabbing my X-Men comics, and I was drawing in ballpoint pen in the back of my maths book and that sort of stuff. And I was just hooked.
Very cool.
And I definitely watched Akira at a formative age when I really shouldn't have. And that changed me as a person. And that set me down the path that Akira was my first anime at 12.
Oh wow.
It was on SBS late at night, and I was like, "Oh, what is this going to be? This looks rad. I'm sitting down on Saturday to watch this." And it was horrifying and amazing.
Yeah.
And then the very next week, Neon Genesis started.
Oh wow.
So those were my first two animes before I saw Pokemon, before I saw Digimon, before I saw Cardcaptor Sakura, before I saw Dragon Ball Z. It was Akira and Neon Genesis.
That's a
And
hell
then
of an introduction.
Dragon Ball Z started very shortly after Neon Genesis started, so I was watching them simultaneously. But the first thing I saw was getting the fucking robot Shinji, you know,
That's a heck of an introduction,
and
man.
so that set a bar, you know,
Yeah,
that set
yeah,
a bar for the kind of anime that I would accept as good.
for sure.
And so I've been really fussy ever since.
Yeah, I could see for sure. That's a hell of a way to get it started in anime.
Yeah, and shortly after that, it was Blood the Last Vampire, Vampire Hunter D, Sin, um, Bubblegum Crisis,
Mm. Yeah,
all that kind of stuff.
I have a friend Jason that speaks very highly of that one.
Yeah, I really like that one. I've watched all the like spin-off shows now. I didn't realize there were a bunch of them until just recently. And
Yeah,
so I watched all those retro spin-off shows, Ninja Scroll, um, all of those were my formative anime when
nice.
I was first starting. So they set a very high bar for the style and the storytelling that I would be happy to watch.
Nice. And so that kind of got you on the road to where you are to be an artist.
Yeah, yeah. I started and I never stopped. I did kind of take a detour for a while after a bad experience at uni with a life drawing instructor, but then my partner pushed me back into it, and shortly after that, I started working on my own comics.
Nice. Very cool. Well, that's a great transition actually, because now I want to talk about your comic double billing. So, for those that don't know, who have never heard of your comic double billing, why don't we talk a little bit about what it is?
Sure. Well, here's a copy. So it is my first proper printed comic, and it is a flipbook double feature. So
That's
it's two
awesome.
short stories, and the next volume is almost done, actually. I was literally working
Nice.
on part of it yesterday. So double billing is kind of going to be an ongoing project now. Whenever I have a 10 or 12 page story that I don't really know what I want to do with, then I'll pair it with another one, and that'll be a new volume of double billing.
Nice.
Uh, so this was actually the first story I started trying to write was because when my partner was encouraging me to get back into comics, and they got me this T-shirt of this little samurai pug, and it was the cutest thing in the world. And I was like, this is giving me ideas for a fun story. Let me, redesign this a little bit, come up with my own version of a wandering pug guy. And I started writing. I found a tool called the Take Off Your Pants outline on storyplanner.com. That's my favorite outlining tool.
Yeah.
And I wrote an outline from all the ideas that I had percolating for this story. And I was like, oh shit, this isn't a 40-page story. I'm gonna have to put this one away for a while
Yeah.
because I was trying to just do like, I was starting to do my no capes and talking to other creators and stuff, and learning that you shouldn't make your first book the big one. Do some small stuff. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, let's just write a short story about this little dude, like 40 pages, a little graphic novella, fun. And I just kept having ideas. And as I wrote them all down and into this thing, I was like, oh, this is an ongoing series. Shit. I'm not good enough to draw or write this yet. So I put it aside for a while until I'd had a chance to write a few more short stories and publish a few things. And then I pitched for an anthology called Project Big Hype, and it was volume 3. And this story actually got in, especially with this artist who did the cover, Matt Harding, and he
Matt's
got in.
incredible. He is so
Is
good.
isn't he? Look at yeah,
He's so
he
good. I
he
wondered.
hand
I almost recognized that.
he hand inked this.
That's cool.
If you have a look on his Instagram, you'll see a photo of the hand inks that he did. It's incredible. Um, but yeah, we got in, and he was originally going to be the artist for this. And then unfortunately, Doug had to cancel Big Hype Volume 3 due to, personal reasons, health reasons, all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
But Doug has just recently returned to comics, which is rad. He's, operating on a smaller scale now so it can be sustainable for him. But it was so good to see him come back after a few years and start making stuff again.
Nice.
Um, but Matt encouraged me to do it myself anyway. I was going to try to get a grant to try to pay for Matt's fees, and still make this story with him and combine it with this one. The grant I got wasn't going to cover his fees. So he's like, look, I'll do a cover for you. You draw it. Just do it. You're good, do it. I was like, okay, fine, I will. As long as I still get to work with you in some way on it, I'll do it. So that came about, and I'd already started deciding I was going to draw this one, and so the idea for double billing came about in that way. So Snuffles the Indomitable is a science fantasy adventure story, and this one is just an intro to Snuffles. It's 10 pages, it's a short intro. You're dropped right into the world in the middle of a thing that's already happening and see who Snuffle is and how he works to get you excited for the ongoing series that's in development. Um, you don't get an explanation for how the Pugman exists yet. You'll get that later. But it's pretty fun. And I got to work with an incredible buddy of mine, Pete Collins, to do the colors.
Oh, wow.
And he did the colors for the whole book. And Tobin Rasico did the lettering for the Snuffles story. Tobin is great, and I really love his work on sci-fi stuff, so I knew he was the right choice for this. And then I got very lucky with this one. Marcus Jimenez from Dauntless Stories did the cover for this one. Um, and Pete again did the coloring. So you'll see they're both drawn a little bit differently because I wanted these two stories to be distinct in the way they're presented. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do the fancy inking that I wanted to do on Snuffles because of grant deadlines, but the visual illustrative style, I tried to distinguish them a little bit to give them a bit more of a unique feel for each story. But I got very lucky that Pete did the colors for this, but this lettering is actually Hassan Otsmain Elhau, who is my my favorite letterer in the business. He's worked on some of my favorite books, um, and I've always loved his work, especially in horror and comedy. And so Below the Waist is a horror comedy. It's just kind of taking the piss out of Australian tough guy culture. And he was the perfect choice. And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. So I'm like, okay, just right out of the gate for my first book, I get to work with one of my bucket list collaborators, and it was just such an incredible opportunity. And yeah, off the success of that, I was able to fund the production of the origin story of this character, which is the network man Teddy Valentine. So the Network Man Genesis is being drawn at the moment by Jenny Odio, and that's going to be one of the two stories in Double Billing Volume 2. And so it's just a really exciting time to finally be able to put my own comics out in the world, and it's just like slingshotted me forward in progress. And I couldn't be happier and more grateful for the community that supported this book when I put it out on the Kickstarter.
That's cool, man. So double billing basically just, anytime you get ideas for short stories, you just lump them together and you have a new issue of double billing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If it's a 10 or
That's
12 pager, that's it's going to get combined with another 10 or 12 pager later.
that's a brilliant idea, man. That's like a good way to kind of, because everyone's always trying to figure out to do with these little tiny stories they've got where they can't develop it into a fully fledged, story by itself. But that's brilliant to take two small ideas and put them together and then just release them as something all encompassing. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it, and I hope people continue to enjoy it. I got a really positive response from this first issue, and yeah, the next issue is going to be fun. It's got the sci-fi retro futuristic spy story for the Network Man for one story, and then the other story is a sort of alternate history cowboy story, but it's set here in the Victorian goldfields instead.
Interesting.
And I'm working with another local artist who's a great buddy of mine. He's finished the pages and he did the lettering as well. So those pages are done, except for my part, which what we're doing with that is we're not exactly doing it black and white, where the art itself is black and white, but we're putting in like an old parchment page texture for the background and giving it like old rough burnt edges so that the panels look like wanted posters.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And so that's what that side's going to be. And then I'll be coloring the Network Man Genesis for the other side once Jenny's finished with it. And if anyone hasn't heard of Jenny Odio, go find her on Instagram because she's incredible. Her work looks amazing. She's got this perfect style that really lends itself to Art Nouveau, which is what I picked up when I saw some of her pieces for that. And I was like, "Oh, I need you for a retro futuristic book. I need you for that." And so we've been wanting to put it together for a couple of years now. And so that's why I set it as the stretch goal for the Kickstarter. And we were just going to do it as a digital version, but we're doing the black and white, sort of more manga style version as that stretch goal. And the full color version will be part of the next volume of Double Wheeling. And it's going to look so rad. She sent me a preview page a little while ago, and the energy that she's putting into these pages is phenomenal.
That's cool, man. That sounds super exciting. I'm very excited to hear more about the network, man, because I was scrolling through Instagram the other day and I saw a bunch of him pop up. I'm like, ooh, I need to know more about that guy. So I'm very, very excited.
Yeah, that one's gonna be very fun. It's a science fi fiction, like 70s themed spy story, but it's set in an Australia that technology wise has advanced a lot. Aesthetics wise, it's stuck in the 70s. So it is still technically now, but it looks like a futuristic 1970. Um, which is why he's got the old retro TV set for a head because he's a cyborg now after an accident. You'll get to find out more about that in Genesis. It is the origin story of how Teddy Valentine, the forensic field scientist, became the network man, which is the main guy for the network agency, which is like it's an independent intelligence and defense agency looking to protect Australia from the Murdoch syndicate, which is a piss take on the Murdoch news conglomeration, but it is spelt more like Modoc.
Hmm. Interesting. That's
And
very
and
cool.
they're led by the Spud, which is the nickname of the former leader of the far right party in Australia. Everyone nicknamed him the Spud.
Interesting.
So it's basically him with a Donald Trump wig is
Okay.
kind of what this guy looks like.
Okay.
Um, and then his underling is Karen Baggage, but it's spelled like Borgage. She tries to fancy it up, but it's just Karen Baggage. And
That's
that's
awesome.
actually inspired by the leader of another one of our far right minor parties, One Nation. And it's essentially her in a Dolly Parton wig.
Nice.
Um, and for anyone who wants to get a view of what Australia thinks of her, except for the kind of people that would vote for her, just look up Pauline Pantsdown later. There is a drag queen who put out a song when we were all in high school that was fully just inspired by this politician. They dressed up as this politician, took sound bites of her from the news saying all the dumb things that she says, and turned that into a dance song.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very funny. And she hates that song to this day.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and then the field agent that she's responsible for is Fox Newsom.
Nice.
And he's one of those guys, he's big, he's buff, he looks like a frat bro, and he's one of those guys that looks like he's got all the facial structural elements that should be handsome, but it doesn't work. You can probably imagine the kind of guy you're thinking of. It's like, yeah, he's got a square jaw, he's got blue eyes, he's got fair hair,
Yeah.
he's got big cheekbones, and those are all the things that handsome people have. But when these specific ones are all put together, it looks uncanny.
Interesting. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, so it's kind of just a fun, silly romp, and but it is sort of still an exploration of the far right in Australia, and the attitude that Australia has towards more progressive politicians, especially the Greens Party and stuff like that. It's definitely the full graphic novel when I get to it is going to be the most political work that I've ever created. But in just like a fun way.
Nice. Very cool. All right. So, we talked a little bit earlier about your podcast, No Capes.
Oh
Why
yeah, yep,
don't
yep.
why don't we talk a little bit about what that is?
Okay, so yeah, No Capes is the show where we talk about creator-owned comics with creators who own comics. And it's basically book club for nerds.
Nice.
I get to sit down every episode with a fellow comic book creator. We pick a book that neither of us are responsible for, that we just have read and loved, and we talk about what makes it great. So it's just two nerds gushing over a comic book and why we think it's amazing for an hour or so every episode. And let me tell you that the insights that these guests had for me, from when I first wrote the Snuffles outline to when I started sitting down to actually write my first proper script, I hadn't really done a lot of writing in between times. I was practicing other things and doing other projects, doing D&D stuff and day job stuff. But just from talking to these people and hearing how they approach things and how they solve problems and how they've said they can see that people have solved problems in the books that we're talking about, I learned so much that I just, you couldn't help but level up after hearing all the things that these people have to say.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to hear about why people in the business love things, but also just learn about the ins and outs of it in a not a very dry way, because it's people gushing about what makes this book special. So it's full of passion and excitement and love for the craft, but it does divulge a lot of the secrets of the craft in that process. I have a lot of fun making it. My guests are always really nice and interesting and funny. That's how I met Hassan, actually. That's how we connected to get him to work on double billing. He was one of my favorite guests of all time. And I've got to talk to some of my comic book heroes through that podcast just because I was just tweeting at them going, "Hey, you want to come on my show?" And like, "Yeah, all right." And it was amazing what you can tee up when you just talk to people.
It's true.
So if anything you can take away from No Capes, it's a lesson in just ask. You want to talk to that person, just ask them if you can.
Yeah. It's true.
Um,
I've seen a lot of creators go on, TikTok and make videos about, how do I get on a podcast? Like sometimes, you know, it just takes you asking whether the podcaster reaches out to you to ask if you want to be on their show, or if you're a creator that wants to be on a podcast, you shouldn't be afraid to ask. I know I've had lots of people I've wanted to ask to be on the show, but it's hard because, you don't want to. I just have this weird thing about bugging people and reaching out, messaging them. But if they message me, I love it, dude. Like, talk to me
yeah,
all day. I have a hard time initiating conversation, which is probably why I don't have any friends and don't talk to a lot of people. But if you initiate a conversation with me, then I'll talk to you. I'll talk your ear off. I'll talk as long as you let me talk to you. But
yep,
I'm trying to get
100%.
better. I'm trying to get better at starting our conversations. But kind of like when you and I first talked, it was hard for me to get started. But once you and I got going, it really went well, going well.
Yeah, 100%. I totally get it. It's the same for me. The thing I find hardest about making the show though is time zones.
Oh man, I'm sure.
There are
I
certain
mean,
guests that are like bucket lists for me to do a podcast with that
yeah.
have said yes, but can we find a time that works for both of us?
Yeah, I mean, I run into trouble just with the different time zones in the States. I can only imagine you trying to factor in the fact that you're in a completely different country.
Yep. But yeah, it's been a really fun journey with that. I had to unfortunately go on hiatus in 2023 when we did that big move I told you about earlier.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the time and the energy around my day job and trying to adjust to living in a new place to finish editing. I'd recorded most of it before we moved. I only had to record a couple of extra episodes once we got here.
Yeah.
Um, but then it was the editing. So I only got three or four, I think I got three proper episodes and one Comic Con special episode edited before I had to go on hiatus. But the good news is that one of my amazing friends recently volunteered to help me get those backlog edited. So those episodes are being worked on right now. And I can tell you that if you like Hellboy, you're going to love this when it comes out because I've got an episode talking with Chris Sheehan about Hellboy.
Nice.
and I absolutely love Chris's work. I got an episode with Heather Antos, David Dissanayake from Vault talking about Barbaric.
Nice.
Um, and I've been feeling so bad about not being able to get those episodes out because of how busy life got when we moved.
Yeah.
But with my friend helping me get these out, these are all going to be coming out very soon. He's about halfway through. So as soon as he finishes those out, they're going to start popping out to finish out season four. And I'm in the process at the moment of working out a potential recording schedule for January because I'm on this self-employment assistance program thing here in Australia right now. So
Yeah.
I've got till the end of March to be full-time in my business. Full-time in as a creator. That's how these shelves are so full because I've had full time to actually print and staple and cut and get stocked up so I can do conventions again properly next year.
Yeah.
That's how these sticker drawers are full because I've been able to sit down and do that. And that's why Double Billing Volume 2 is on its way because I've been very lucky to be on this program and have that time to do the thing. So if you're an Australian looking to start a business, especially an Australian creative, look into the self-employment assistance program. It used to be called the NICE program, but they revamped it and redid a few things, and now it's that. Um, you get 9 months of funding and 12 months of mentorship. The mentors can be a bit hit or miss, but just having that 9 months to have your rent paid so that you can sit down and work is huge.
Oh,
It's
sure.
it's really, really huge.
Yeah.
And so I've got till the end of March on that program. So I'm tentatively looking at scheduling a 12 episode recording session to bring back No Capes for season five.
Nice.
Um, and that'll be January sometime if I do that. I'm like 90% sure I'm gonna do it, but I haven't fully committed yet.
Nice.
Because I've dropping it down. I was trying to do like 24 episodes a year because that felt like a nice big full, but not too crazy. It
Yeah.
got on top of me. So I'm dropping it down to 12. I can record that in like 2 weeks, and then I can edit that in a couple of weeks, and then drop those out one a month, which gives me runway in case anything happens and have to take a week off editing or something like that.
Yeah.
So No Capes should be making its hopefully triumphant return in 2025 for season 2026 for season five. As I love making that show. I have missed it this last 3 years. I've missed it so much. So getting to talk to you has been like so much fun because I've really missed doing this kind of thing.
Nice.
I just
Glad I
love
could help.
nerding out with people about things that are exciting to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's fun to do, and like you said, it's very hard. I currently am in the middle of, or I'm almost in the middle of my fifth season. I try to do about 20, I think I'm doing 25 episodes a season. So I try to do like one a week or,
Yeah.
one every week or something like that. And I'll do it and I'll edit it on the weekends or whatever, and then um, turn it around the next week. But it does get on top of you. It's very easy to get on top of you, and I was excited about our episode particularly because, most of I mean, I'm excited about all my episodes, but this one in particular because it's a little bit different than what I usually do. Because usually someone's on promoting something because they've got a Kickstarter or something coming out, or they've got, a big event coming up for their business or whatever. Because what I like about my show is, I have a lot of comic book creators on here, but my show's not a comic book show. It's basically for, any type of creator, regardless of what they do.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and, it does get on top of you a little bit sometimes. And for the most part, I'm just interviewing people who want to promote something. But, if what happens where, I schedule an interview with somebody and, for whatever reason they have to cancel or have to bail or whatever, um, had to sneeze almost. If they have to bail, I don't have an episode that week, so then I miss out. But I've wanted to try to incorporate more just casual chats. Like, yeah, we're promoting a lot of your stuff, but it's not like you're not on like a crunch to promote it. It's stuff
No,
that's already come
exactly.
out. It's stuff you've already worked on, and it's a chance to nerd out, which is something that I need to start trying to schedule more time to do because, I love helping people promote their stuff, but I need to mix up a little bit in addition to promoting stuff, just have people come on and chat. Because I've mentioned several times in other episodes that one of the things I really like to talk about is pro wrestling. And I used to have a friend that we talked about it with all the time, but we're not friends anymore. So now I don't really have that outlet for wrestling talk anymore. So I need to like, wrestling talk, talk about wrestling for an entire episode, or, talk about Ninja Turtles for an entire episode, or talk
Hmm.
about Legos, or, whatever.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Just talk about stuff, and like that's not really, up against a deadline. It's just stuff you can just come and just shoot the shit with somebody. And that's
Ex
why I'm excited about this.
exactly. And that's why I love making no capes too, because it's the same thing. Like I
Yeah.
tell people as soon as they book, is like, I don't know when this is coming out. I will ask you what you've got coming out this year,
Yeah.
but if you're coming to me to promote a book, that's not what this show's for. I just want to talk about comics with you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about comics. There's room for you to talk about your own work because your own work is naturally going to come up in those sort of
Yeah,
conversations. When you're
absolutely.
talking about coloring with a colorist,
Yeah.
their own work is going to come up.
Hmm.
And I always try to, at the end, be like, hey, we've got 10 minutes left. Let's talk about what you're doing right now and what's coming out this year.
Yeah.
But it's a whole different vibe as to when someone goes, hey, I've got a Kickstarter launching next week. Can I come on your show? And I'm like, my slots are booked, and that's not the kind of podcasting we do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's a whole different vibe when you've got that relaxation. It's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
can have a creative on your show. They're always going to have something that they're working on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's a whole different vibe to when it's like, I have something that's for sale right now, and I have something that I need to promote to make money right now. It's a
Yeah. I
whole
mean,
different vibe.
yeah, when you've got like a time sensitive deadline, like it's a whole different thing. And again, I'm not saying anything bad about that.
No, no, no.
I love having people come and do that, but I've had to turn a lot of people away because, I record my show and I release it the following week. And so, if you're on any kind of
Exactly.
a time crunch, like I can't, cater to that, because
Yep.
it just doesn't fit in the schedule.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the same thing for No Capes. Is like, if you're planning a Kickstarter, I literally can't help you because I don't know when the episodes are coming out. I
Yeah.
record them all in 3 weeks in one big block, and then I edit when I have time. I edit whichever episode I think is most interesting that week.
Yeah.
So I have no idea when your episode's coming out. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 6 weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it was a
so
lot different because, at one time when this show first started, I was doing it with a website where, there was a separate editor to edit the show. And
yep,
basically I just showed up, I hosted the show, and then my work was done. I'd promote it when it got released, whenever it got released. But, now it's just me by myself. And so I have to edit it when I have time to edit it. I'd knock out 5 or 6 interviews in the span of like 10 days. Um, and I would do that consistently. I think one time I had like 7 interviews in 6 days. It was
yep,
nuts. But that was when I wasn't editing the show. But now I'm editing it. So
yeah,
now I'm like, okay, I can't, as much as I want to cram all those interviews in, I just can't. I have to,
yep.
limit it out because I've got other responsibilities. I've got other things I want to do that, even creatively that aren't the podcast, that if I'm just podcasting all the time, I have no time for anything else.
Exactly. And that was it. I was trying to get my actual comics going when we
Yeah.
moved. And so something had to give. And unfortunately, it was no capes.
Yeah.
Um, but in saying that, like I love helping creators with their Kickstarters and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Hmm.
like, if anyone ever wants some help promoting and we're a mutual, hit me up. Give me some of your graphics. I use a scheduling tool for my social media. If I know you, I want to help you promote your stuff.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
give me some of your graphics and I'll schedule some posts on my socials to be like, hey, my friend is doing this. Go check it out. If you
Yep.
need a pull quote, send me a digital copy of your book. I'll read it and I'll do a pull quote for you.
Yep.
You know, I love to help out as much as I can. I'm disabled, I'm poor, and I'm time poor. So I can only do so much, but I can do those two things very easily. So, if anyone wants help in that way with the Kickstarter, I'm happy to.
Yeah,
Um,
I've told people that, I can't, put you on the show, but I definitely can help, spread the word around. So I'm right there with you.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Give me your graphics, give me a blurb, and I will share your stuff everywhere I possibly can.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, it's rad.
All right, man. So one other thing I want to talk about before I let you go is Brainbeast Studios. I want to kind of talk about what that is, where it kind of came from, how it came to be. Let's talk about it.
All right. Yeah. So I was searching for a business brand identity and brand identity when my partner and I used to work together as Sunday Studios. And then we got a bit overloaded and we decided to uh, closed that down because this was when I was on what was then known as the niece program. And they were pushing us in directions that we really didn't want to go with the business in order to make the most sales possible. Instead of sustainable long-term growth, they were trying to push us for most sales possible by the end of the 12 months so that we look like a success story for their books. Because
Yeah.
the niece and seer programs, they have different providers depending on where you are. And the provider we had in Brisbane loved showing off their success stories, but most of those success stories went bust a year after the program
Oh,
because they
wow.
were pushing them to make all this money short term, but not setting them up for sustainability and longevity.
Yeah.
So we didn't like the directions that was going in, so we closed that down. We still collaborate and we still do stuff together, but we closed down the official partnership business, like all that legal stuff. And we were doing our own things. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with that. So for a while there, I was just operating as Shaun Sunday Art. But then as I started picking up D&D and getting into D&D and starting to learn more and more about the game and started drawing paper miniatures so that I could, have more minis with being poor and release them for other people to use. The very first one I drew was an intellect devourer. And it was my take on an intellect devourer. I made it a bit more insected, gave it pincers and like spider eyes with a plate of chitin across the front, and that sort of thing. And that was this guy up here.
Nice.
And I named him Brian the Brain Beast. And I got it 3D modeled so it could be a 3D printable mini. I hired someone to model that for me, and then I printed a life-sized one, and that started becoming my table mascot. And I can't remember if I've mentioned this to you specifically, but a lot of people who do know me will know I've got ADHD hardcore.
I actually just got
So
diagnosed with that recently. So yeah, I
there
get
you
it.
go.
I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it feels like there's a little critter in here sometimes just
Yep.
doing its own thing.
Hmm.
So it just sort of came part and parcel that, Brian was becoming my mascot. And it's like, oh, yeah, I have referred to my brain as its own beast several times and things like that. So like, all right, I guess that's it. I guess this is my logo now, and this is what I'm doing. And so Brainbeast Studios came to be. And so that just means that I can, do D&D adventures with the Brainbeast Studios banner on it, do the comics with the Brainbeast Studios banner on it, because I do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So instead of just being, Shaun Sunday comic book creator, I wanted to come up with something a bit more overarching because I do whatever is exciting to me at the time.
Yeah.
And so I'd been trying to come up with something that could have a bit more of a universal ring to it so that I wasn't getting pigeonholed into any one thing. And that's what I came up with.
That's cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, I think it's neat that, you're able to kind of come up with a branding that, isn't just branding specific to one thing. That's very cool.
Yeah, and it's not easy. I can tell you that for anyone who's wanting to do that, don't get discouraged if you don't get it right away, because finding what vibes with you and one doesn't feel too broad, like, oh, what even is that?
Yeah.
Um, but also doesn't feel too specific, can be hard. But Brainbeast Studios, everyone here knows that that's a creative studio. As soon as
Yeah.
they look, they go, "Oh, this is a creative person. They do a bunch of creative stuff."
Yeah, and I think a big thing is, if you think about what you want your branding to be too hard, it's going to end up being a lot harder. Sometimes it's one of those things you got to kind of just sit back and like not think so hard about, because
Yeah,
once you stop thinking so hard about it, that's kind of when it falls into place. Which
yeah,
kind of
because
sounds like that's how it worked with you.
yeah, pretty much. I'd been thinking and thinking and thinking for a while, and then I just kind of gave up for a bit
Yep.
until that clicked, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, there it is. That's what it is." Just
Yeah.
one day, just Brainbeast Studios popped into my head, and I was like, "I fucking like the sound of that."
Yeah, it's when you stop thinking about it is when it usually kind of clicks into place, and that's when I think it's really cool.
Yeah, 100%.
Very cool. All right, man. Well, I've had a lot of fun talking with you. Before I let you go, I usually give everyone kind of the space to share some advice with the other creatives out there who are listening. So, what's a bit of advice you'd like to share with the listening audience?
Well, this one probably sounds a little bit cliche, but it is honestly the best advice I've ever received and that anyone can receive, in my opinion, is just do it. That thing that you're thinking about, you don't have to be good at it right away. Just do it.
Because you're
And
not
the
gonna be.
more, yeah, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it.
Yeah.
I don't even watch this fucking show, but there is a quote from Adventure Time that I love, which is the
It's
first step to being kind of good at sucking at something is the first step to being kind of good at something.
yeah,
And that's true. When I
absolutely.
first started drawing, if I had any of them nearby, I could show you my first comic book character designs, and they are hot garbage, my guy. They are hot garbage. I was a 15-year-old trying to learn how to draw comics all by myself in a country town in the middle of New South Wales, where my art teacher was actively discouraging me from pursuing digital art and comics because that's lowbrow art and you won't get any work that way. So, like,
Wow.
yeah, it was hard. It was hard. I had the largest body of work out of my entire 12th, year 12 senior year uh, cohort, and I came last
Wow.
because they had they had external judges come in, and they were all fine arts critics.
Ah,
So like I will admit, my work wasn't that good because I was 15.
sure.
I was 17 at that point, I think. I was just a little punk 17-year-old.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but I kept doing it because the more you do it, the better you get. The more you read about the thing that you want to do while you're doing it, the better you get. And there's this thing that my partner got me doing actually. I can't remember the name of the art teacher, but there's an art teacher on YouTube and he does 1 minute drawings every day. And I've been doing them a couple times a week. Do that. You're not going to be good at them every time. Use lineofaction.com. You can set a timer and it just clicks reference images every minute or every 2 minutes, every 5 minutes, whatever you set the timer for. But yeah, just do a bunch of 1 minute sketches. They're not going to be good. They're not going to be finished until you do a bunch of them, because then you'll get faster at observing and faster at translating what you're observing to the page. If you're drawing, as far as writing goes, you got to write to get good at writing, and you got to read to get good at writing. I can definitely recommend for any writers out there to get these. The How to Think When You Write books by the Etherington brothers. They're really rad. I've just been talking about them in my newsletter, which is why they're right beside me. They actually come with visual diagrams of the writing concept that they're talking about. Get stuff like that and just do it is the best way to be doing it. If you never start, you never will. If you wait until you're good enough to start, you'll never feel like you're good enough to start. XKCD is one of the most widely known webcomics in the world,
It's true.
and it's fucking stick figures,
Yep.
you know? Questionable content. You go back and look at the very, very early ones of questionable content. They don't look anywhere near as good as what Jeff is drawing now. Just on a technical level. Still a great comic, but Jeff's early drawings are not at the same skill level as his drawings now. But he just started doing it and then learned as he went. So it's just whatever the creative thing is that you want to do is don't worry about the perfect materials. I certainly didn't start with an Audio Technica microphone and proper lighting when I started podcasting. I started with an onboard webcam and a secondhand Yeti, you know?
That's what I have.
Yeah, yeah.
I have I have a
I had
Yeti
a,
mic, I have a webcam right there, and I
yep,
have nothing fancy. And this is episode shit, I think 113. So I've done
exactly.
yeah, the whole time.
Yeah, I just had a little HP laptop with
Yeah.
an onboard camera, and that's what I used. I didn't even have a Yeti mic for the first time when I first started streaming. And then I got one, and then I got a little bit better. And then I got another mic, and then I started learning how to light my stuff. You can create a full studio lighting setup with shit from the hardware store.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need the most expensive pencils, the most expensive pens to get started. You don't need the most expensive subscription writing software. You can just use a WordPresser or a notepad.
Yep.
Just just get started. And then you will get what you need as you go.
Hmm. It's true. I even one time, a couple of years ago, I hosted a podcasting panel at a convention where I wanted to show people that, you don't need a lot of fancy stuff to start a podcast. You could even just do a podcast from your phone. So I recorded the whole thing just from my cell phone and I released it as an episode of my podcast. So it just goes to show that, like, really, if you,
Yeah.
it's good advice. If you wait until you think you have everything that you want to do to start doing something, you're never going to do it.
Yep. And one thing I can suggest, especially for the Americans, because it's so much cheaper for you guys, if you do want to just get a hands-free mic for making your TikTok content or whatever, just a
Yeah.
little bit better, or you can even connect these to your computer. I got these recently, these Hollyland mics, and it comes with two transmitters, and this is the receiver that plugs into your little USB slot on your phone, and it's even got another one here so you can plug it into the power while you're using it.
Nice.
And so I can use that with you know, microphone holders and the little foam toppers to do interview content at conventions. I'm going to one this weekend and I'm taking these with me.
Nice.
And I could just clip it on here, plug it into my computer, and I could be using it for this. I've used it while live streaming was so I could do stuff over here at the other table. And I think these are $50 on Amazon for the Americans. They
Nice.
might be a little cheaper. They cost me 88 in Australia, and I know that they're cheaper with the US dollar and stuff. Um, and they're very well recommended. But apparently, any of the Holyland wireless mics are good. These are the only ones I've tried, but apparently they're all good. But these are one of the cheapest ones. And yeah, just find something like that. If you need something to go the next level up, you can
Yeah.
start cheap.
It's true.
I've been really impressed with them.
Very cool. Now, to go back on what you said about Adventure Time, I used to have the same opinion about Adventure Time until I finally gave it a go. It's pretty decent show.
Yeah, I've watched a little bit of it. It just never quite hooked me. So it's
I
like I don't.
I I was the same way. I had to get a few because
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna give it one episode, and I'm like, this is garbage. This is so stupid. And I kept just giving it the one. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this is stupid, but I had to give it a few. Then once I gave it a few, like half a season, I was like, okay, this is still kind of fucking weird off the wall show, but it's got some good stuff in it. It was very, very good.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. It's like I don't dislike it, but I've never really watched the whole thing. But that
Yeah.
quote always sticks with me.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And
I
it's true. You got to be bad at something before you'll be good at something.
Yeah. I just barely finished it for the very first time very, very recently. And because I had never watched it all the way through before, but big fan. I'm a big fan of that show now. It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, man. So where can people stay up to date with stuff that's coming from you? Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Yeah. Well, actually, that's exciting is because now I have a newsletter. So you can
It is
find me as
exciting.
Brainbeast. Yeah, you can find me as Brainbeast Studios anywhere. Um, Kara, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, no X. So almost anywhere, I guess.
Me either.
Uh, yeah, but just look for Brainbeast Studios and you'll find me. Brainbeaststudios.com, of course. At the moment, that's mostly just a landing page, but if you go to brainbeaststudios.com, scroll down the bottom, there is a link to anywhere you can purchase anything I've ever made in any form underneath there. Drive Through RPG, Etsy, Ko-fi, Throne. It's all linked right there. Um, for my newsletter, go to kofi.com/Brainbeast Studios and just subscribe there. It's $3 AUD for the newsletter tier, which is like $1.96 American, I think. And it's a weekly newsletter. So I do a video newsletter. It's very stream of consciousness. It's me rambling for up to 20 minutes most of the time, talking about what I've been doing in the studio, what's coming out, showing new updates, and talking about the resources that I use to create my stuff, and then linking all of that stuff in the post to go with the video. So I, compile all of those links right there for people that want to try doing stuff. Um, and I just re-recorded. I had a mess up with my microphone last week for Friday's newsletter. I had to re-record it yesterday, and I was like, I'm missing something. I'm missing something. I'm missing something. I'm missing something. What did I forget to talk about? And then after I went downstairs, I remembered. So this week you get a bonus video on top of the newsletter, which I'm going to edit when we're done here, which is just going to be me rambling about Batman for 10 minutes.
Nice.
Because I was talking about this film Batman's an absolute Batman and what I like about it and why I like it and that sort of thing. So you get a bonus Batman video this week. But yeah, there's also if a just quick shout out for that is I do also now have a snail mail club, which you can get on my Ko-fi. And it's 10 Australian dollars, and that includes postage to America as well. And this month's snail mail club was a blank sketch card for people to start trying sketch cards, a print of the Network Man, a sticker of the Network Man, and a little review recommendation card of a comic every month. And you get a handwritten note on the back of that. And then I have a next tier up, which is you'll get an actual one of one sketch card, um, drawn by me for the $25 tier. You get a free a sketch card and a print and a sticker and a recommendation for a new comic every month for 25 Australian dollars, which is like 16 American bucks, and that's posted to you. So that's just a
Cool.
very exciting thing to do with my newsletter and the Ko-fi subscriptions that's just started that I'm really hyped about. But yeah, you can find me Brainbeast Studios anywhere. And if you really want to keep up to date with what's going on behind the scenes, that newsletter is the place to do it.
Very, very cool. All right, so for me, I want to thank Polygon Horizon. The song Pizza Force is the song we use for the show. Not we.
Cool.
I always say we. It's me. I use for the show. It's a fantastic song. Go check them out on Bandcamp and SoundCloud just because the song is awesome and they've got a lot of really great music. So go check them out.
Yeah. I mean, you
Um,
had me at Pizza Force.
right? Just that alone is awesome. But when you listen to the song, oh, it's so good. So good. You can find Fueled by Weird on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, pretty much like you said, anywhere except for X, because I mean it's Twitter, because Twitter's stupid. I am on Blue Sky, but I'm just on Blue Sky with my name, but I share a lot of Fueled by Weird stuff on there. Shoot me an email at fueledbyweird@gmail.com. You can find the show on YouTube, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts at. You can also find all the links on my Linktree, just at Fueled by Weird. Check out my friend Hassel Hutchinson. He's got a channel, the Nerdy Manroom Show. He does lots of cool stuff over there. Nerdy Manroom Show, Hassel's Review, and Card Subject to Change. Lots of cool stuff. He's putting out content all the time, so go check him out. Uh, the two of us plus some other guys, we make up the Stay Weird Network. It's a brand new podcast network dedicated to bringing some awesome back to the internet because the internet's a sucky place a lot of times. So we want to try to bring some positivity to the internet. Check
Oh
us
yeah.
out at Stay Weird Network on Instagram and YouTube, and email us at stayweirdnetwork@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. We've got a Stay Weird Network page. Go share whatever you want over there. Share the projects you're working on. Let's chat about some nerdy shit over there. Go feel free to join the group over there. If you like our show, or if you like this show, please leave a review and tell your friends because word of mouth is my friend. And remember, kids, life's too short to be normal, so stay weird. Sean, thanks for coming to hang out with me tonight, man.
Thanks for having me.
I guess today too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have to do it again for sure.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I got a spinner rack here that I could gush over for hours.
Awesome.